Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Hot and steamy Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the absolutely gorgeous Abigail Rose suite of products from the new Stampin' Up! 2022-2023 annual catalog. Now, I've been dying to get into girly projects. Last month, well, it technically is still May, but I decided May was over because I was dying to get into some beautiful florals and use some of these beautiful girly products that are in this new catalog. Last month, I was all about man cards, and I feel like I did them justice. The men have some ideas, so now we are moving on to some pretty girly, just gorgeous products. So today we are all about the Abigail Rose suite. It's the one that went, well, there were two that went to the top of my list. One was the Hues of Happiness and the other was Abigail Rose. The two of them are just gorgeous. So I'm going to show you some projects. I'm going to launch a new virtual class and show you all the products that coordinate, and we're gonna have some fun. Okay, so let me pull up my video on my iPad so I can see who's watching. See who's here. There I am. Ooh, I look really pale. I need to get some sun. All right, we got Linda, we've got Doris, Krista, Tracy. Oh, Tracy, this one is a must-have. It's so pretty, especially if you like vintage and sort of subtle neutral color palettes. Oh, so beautiful. Penny, hello. Hot in New Jersey too. Yeah, it seems the whole sort of eastern part of the continent right now is steaming. Hi, Sue. Hi, Chris. Hi, Louise. Well, Louise, you know how things go. We have pre-order starting tomorrow for the new holiday catalog too. So, yeah, it's an expensive time of year. It's also my birthday at the end of this month. So yeah, there's lots to celebrate, lots going on. It's also almost the end of the school year. June is my favorite month because we are heading towards the end. We have 15 days of classes left. But who's counting? Not that I don't like my job. I love my job. Don't get me wrong. I love being a music teacher. I love teaching. It's just the last 2 years have been so rough, and I'm exhausted. So I'm ready for a break and ready to just do one job for a little while, namely my Stampin' Up! Job, and just take a little break from the classroom. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to flip the camera. I'm going to show you some beautiful products and then show you some projects that use them. Okay? All right, here we go. Let me do the flipperoo here. I was about to try and flip on my iPad. That doesn't work. Okay, hang on a sec. Here we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Get that nice and tight there so we don't sag too much. Move that up a bit. There we go. We're good to go. All right. Hi, Sam. I hope you love what I make with it. I love this suite, so I had a great time playing with it. Hi, Deb. All right, so this is the Abigail Rose suite. It is on pages 56 and 57 in the new annual catalog. Beautiful layout. Love this sort of muted tones of this. Gorgeous images. Fantastic sentiments in awesome fonts. Just so much fun. But let me show you it in real life because it's so much better in real life. So first of all, we have the bundle. Okay, so we have the Cottage Rose stamp set. And then coordinating dies. Now, this die looks like it doesn't coordinate with much of anything, but just you wait. Okay, I'm going to show you how that works. It not only cuts out this flower and these three flowers, but it also cuts the DSP, which I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so there is your bundle. Okay, and then we have this gorgeous ribbon. Now, this ribbon I originally thought was like a rough linen. Like, you know how linen tends to be quite starchy and stiff? This is not. It has the look of linen, but it is so soft, ties beautifully. I mean, it's large. It's a 7/8 inch width ribbon, so it's going to be a little bit wide for bows for cards, but I've been using it as accents on cards, and it's just beautiful. It would also look fantastic on gift packaging. So that is the coordinating ribbon. And then we have the gorgeous DSP. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. So let me show you the DSP. Look at this. Okay, I posted a project yesterday where I colored this DSP with my Stampin' Blends, and oh my stars. I'll show you that project later on, but it's so gorgeous. So there's one. And then this one has a lot of texture to it. It has sort of a linen or burlap look, that pattern. And then here's another gorgeous floral in Crumb Cake. And then this is the DSP that I wanted to showcase with this die. So this die, or DSP, has lots of florals and leaf patterns, but what the wow factor is with this is that it lines up with this large die in the die set. So there are a couple things you can do with it. You can run this through and cut out all those little bits and pieces. I'll show you a project at the end where I've done that and used a whole bunch of these little guys to embellish my card. Okay. The other thing that you can do is create a peek through. So cut a piece of cardstock, create a peek through, and layer it over top of a piece of the DSP and have the florals showing through. So such a cool design. Stampin' Up sure is creative. I got to give them that. And then we have this gorgeous pattern with tulips. We've got some sort of rough text in the background. That's an early espresso. And then this I think is my favorite. Well, it's hard to pick a favorite. This is like, again, a linen or burlap look. So sort of crumb cake with early espresso florals. And then of course we flip over and we have fantastic images on the back. So this is perfect for masculine cards. The other cool thing about this is that you can cut out the larger leaf images with the dies. We have this beautiful pinstripe. Love this sort of vintage ledger. We've got a faded smoky slate floral, some poppies, and then a beautiful smoky slate and crumb cake polka dot. So that is the gorgeous DSP. Just so fabulous. Love, love, love. And of course, we have coordinating grid paper. This is our new branded merchandise. So Stampin' Up has launched a new line of branded products that are available to everyone, demonstrators and customers alike. And this is the beautiful in color DSP. So if I flip through this, you'll see that there are pages with each of the 5 new in colors. So pretty, and coordinates with this suite. So I just had to bring it out so that you could see it. Okay, let's get to some stamping. So first project I'm going to share with you is this one. Really, really simple. Again, another one that does all that, where the DSP does all the work. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I colored it. So this is, let me just show you which DSP pattern it is. It's this crumb cake one, okay, that I have colored using watercolor pencils. So watercolor pencils kind of get neglected in my studio sometimes because I so love my Stampin' Blends. But these are absolutely fantastic for adding really subtle color to your projects. So I just want to bring in the colors that I use to color this. Now, when you look at these colors, they look quite vibrant and bright. And you would kind of think, oh, how is she going to get that soft color with these bright colors? However, because they are pencil crayons, you can vary your pressure when you're coloring to get various shades. You can see here I went a little bit darker, but here I've got really, really light, soft color. So I've left this flower in the middle and a couple of leaves to color. So I'm going to color this large one here. It's going to be similar to this in the yellow. This is Daffodil Delight. Oh, I should mention these other colors. So we've got Melon Mambo, Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, and Garden Green was the green I used. So I'm going to be using the Daffodil Delight and the Garden Green. So I'll just keep them out. One really big tip when you're using watercolor pencils, can you see how dull the tip on this is? In order to avoid lines, so the strokes when you're coloring, you want your tip to be really, really dull. Okay, so in fact, when I sharpen my pencils, the first thing I do is I color on my grid paper to dull the tip. Okay, and what that does is it allows me to just lay down really soft, subtle color without getting those sort of stroke lines as I'm coloring. And you can still get them if you want them, just by applying more pressure. But for this particular project, I want a really soft look. So I'm just using really light pressure and a very, very dull pencil. So all I'm doing to color this is just kind of coming along where the shading is on the artwork here. So I'm not doing anything revolutionary. I'm just adding a little hint of yellow where the artists from Stampin' Up have already added the shading. Okay, so you do not have to be an art major to be able to, I'm definitely not. I can't draw stick figures, which is why I love stamping so much. It makes me feel like I'm an artist. I'm totally not. But it makes me feel that way because I can add I can use the artwork that's already drawn or stamp the artwork that's already created to make beautiful projects. Now I couldn't decide if this petal was part of this flower or this petal curling. So I'm going to just add some yellow here because I didn't add any of the coral that I used on this flower. So we're going to assume it's part of our yellow flower. We're going to make it part of the yellow flower. It is now. There we go. Forever and ever. It's part of the yellow flower. So I'm just going to finish adding a little bit more color here. And you can certainly add more or less. I just wanted really subtle to add, because again, I want that sort of vintage faded look. Okay, and that's all there is to it. So easy and very relaxing, right? Coloring is just, oh, I missed this little petal back here. Oh, nope, that's a leaf. Never mind. We're going to add a little bit of green now. Okay, same thing. I'm going really, really lightly with my garden green pencil. I don't want it to be too dark. Okay, I want it to look faded. And this time I'm pretty much filling in the whole leaf. I found that if I just followed the veins on the leaf, I didn't really like the look of it. So I added a little bit more and more until I ended up filling in the whole leaf. And that's what made me happy. So there's not really a wrong way to do this. You just do whatever looks good to you, which is the beauty of creating, right? All right, so there we go. There is my beautiful shaded DSP. Okay, hi Pam, thanks for sharing. Hi Joyce. Yep, replay will be here. We'll be up shortly after 6 p.m. Okay. All right, Debbie, I'm sorry it's cutting out on you. All right, so we are going to finish putting this together. I've done most of the coloring ahead of time. I just left the one flower so I could show you how it goes together. So we're going to just set these little guys aside for a sec. So next thing I'm going to do is apply some of this beautiful ribbon. So this is just, I don't know, 4 inches maybe. I'm going to go ahead and notch the end of the ribbon. Debbie, coloring is relaxing. I absolutely love it. I don't know that I would love watching somebody else color unless it was in fast forward, because I find that I might get a little bored. But yeah, coloring is just a fantastic pastime. I find it's just nice and relaxing. So I'm going to just lay a little bit of seal down where I'm going to want my ribbon to go. Okay, and I'm just going to stick it down with a little bit hanging over the edge because we're going to wrap that around the back side. And that's just going to give us a nice, neat finish on the edge of our card. So we'll just pull that nice and snug, stick that down, and there we go. Easy peasy, right? Okay, now I have these die cut pieces. So these are cut, where to put my dies? These are cut using these dies here, okay? So these ones cut out stamped images. These cut out these fantastic sort of line art florals, okay? So they are going to kind of tuck in behind my ribbon. I'm going to trim off a little bit of each. I'm going to just lift my ribbon and tuck them in behind, okay? And then I might add just a little dab of glue. Let's do that. We'll add a dab of glue here. I think on my original, I actually used seal and stuck them down before my ribbon, but it doesn't really matter. If you wanted to make this super quick and easy, you could certainly use some adhesive sheets to make them go down really, really easily. But these guys are so light that you need almost no glue to stick them down. Okay, so we're going to take this little leaf, add a titch of glue here, and we'll tuck it in behind. So I just kind of wanted it to look like they were growing up behind the ribbon. Okay, and then we have a longer flower here. It's going to be kind of growing up from the bottom. Couple little dibby dabs of glue here and we're good. Tuck that one down there. And then this little guy is going to come out the other side. We'll add a couple more dabs of glue. And we're going to pop that on just down here. Just like that. Okay, so really, really simple. This is then going to get glued onto our card front. Now, this piece, I should have mentioned, is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. This is a piece of our Kraft cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, so it's actually the entire, it's going to cover the entire front of my card. I'm not going to have any border showing. Can you see that I don't have, it's a white card base, but there's no white border showing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Yes, Deb, these die cuts they're one of the things that sold me on it. Well, the DSP, the whole thing. I mean, the suite is just fantastic. Yeah, it's a must-have. If you ask me, it's my top 2 in this catalog. This one and Hues of Happiness. They are my 2 faves. All right, so we're gonna stick this down onto our card base before we finish this off. So this is just a piece of thick basic white cardstock. We haven't had Whisper White in forever. I don't know where that came from. 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to glue this down. Now, whenever I'm gluing a card front that covers the entire front of a card, I like to use liquid glue just so that I can get it lined up just right, okay? It's a little bit easier to maneuver into place, a little bit more forgiving than using seal or tape, okay? So I'm gonna just stick this on. And then, because I'm really bad at seeing white on white, I'm gonna lift it up. And it actually allows me to see this a little bit better. So we'll stick that down, close her up, and there we go. Okay. All right. So we're going to finish this off. I have a little bit of DSP that I've punched using the double oval punch. Love this punch because it gives you layering right then and there. So fantastic. If you don't have a die cutting machine, this is a great way to get a layered look. So I'm going to use the Feel Better Real Soon image or sentiment. Now, I don't really like real soon because it's bad grammar, and the teacher in me does not like that. I know lots of people say feel better real soon, but that's not me. So I would say feel better really soon, but I don't like the real on there. So I'm going to just use feel better and just ignore the real soon. And I guess you could do feel better soon and just ignore real. You could do that as well. But we're just going to do Feel Better today. And I'm using my Crumb Cake Stampin' Right marker. Okay, this is not a blends marker. This is our water-based Stampin' Right marker. Okay, do not use Stampin' Blends to ink your stamps. They are like Sharpies. You will just end up staining your stamp. Okay, so I'm going to take the brush tip and I'm going to ink up the Feel Better portion of this sentiment. Yes, I know. The teacher in me just won't allow bad grammar. I'm sorry. Thanks, Tracy. Backed up by another educator. All right, so I'm going to stamp this, just a scrap of white cardstock here. Okay, and then I'm going to slide it into my punch. Always good to use a strip of cardstock when you're using punches with multiple images, so just so you minimize your waste. So we're going to pop that out. And then that is going to get popped up on my piece of DSP. Now, this is punched from some of the Design a Daydream DSP. So this is the host exclusive DSP pack that is available with Stampin' Rewards in the annual catalog. It is a fantastic pack. You get 48 sheets of DSP. It's crazy. And it's fantastic. And it has this fantastic sort of grid pattern. This one here, which coordinates so beautifully because it looks kind of worn and distressed, and it's just awesome with this suite. So that is where I punched this from. Okay, I'll just quick show you the other patterns in this paper. So we've got lots of fun, bright, vibrant patterns on one side. And then the reverse side are a little bit more subtle. Okay, I'm loving the sort of the mosaic patterns and the stripes in this paper. Look at the pinwheel, so much fun. So lots of great patterns. That one would work really well as well. So that is the Design a Daydream DSP, host exclusive. Okay, just thought I'd put in a plug for that because it's pretty fantastic. All right, now I should say host exclusive means it can only be purchased with Stampin' Rewards. Okay, so keep in mind that you can be your own party. Right? If your order is of $200 or more here in Canada, you actually qualify for Stampin' Rewards and can purchase this DSP with them. Okay, so I should have mentioned that. When I say host exclusive, it doesn't mean you have to host a party, though I would love to do a party for you. That would be so much fun. You can actually be your own party. Isn't it great that we can be our own party? I love it. All right, so this is going to get stuck down just centered on my ribbon. I did pop up the Feel Better. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of tape here. And the nice thing about the seal is it's nice and strong, so it will stick to this beautiful ribbon. So I don't have to worry about it coming off. Okay, and then I have some of these solid faceted gems. This isn't the full sheet. There are more to them, but I just have been carving little sections off for various things. So there are some that are, they're sort of a blushing bride, and they've got a little bit of a shine to them. They're really quite pretty. So I'm just going to add a couple of these sort of scattered around my sentiment here to finish this off. And there we go. Done and done. Isn't that pretty? So simple, so pretty. Thanks, Martine. Glad you like it. All right, let's get that out of the way. We'll set these guys aside. And we're going to move on to number 2. So number 2 is this one. Now this is one I created for a card swap I participated in recently. And you're going to see more of this fantastic Design a Daydream DSP. So I used it on this one as well. Absolutely love the look of this. Again, super soft and vintage. I actually used some of the skin tone, natural tones blends to color my flower. I feel like they're just nice and subdued, and they work beautifully with the color palette in this suite. So let's get to it. I'm going to pull out my bits here. So first thing I need to mention is this. So these new dies are the split textures dies. So there are 2 dies in the set, and they cut half a card front. Okay, and I've had people say, why wouldn't they make it cut the whole thing? It's not supposed to. It's supposed to look kind of rough and torn and worn, and it's texture, right? It's about texture. So that's the split textures dies. Okay, and so I just took my piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch. Is this? No, it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It's just about the size of a card front, and I ran it through with that die and got this fun lattice look. Okay, so then I have another piece of that fantastic Design a Daydream DSP. Don't you hate it when you love patterns on both sides? I love this pattern as well. Oh well, we're going to use the grid here. And it is going to get glued to the back of our piece. Now, before we do that, we're going to do a little stamping on here. So I'm going to grab my Early Espresso ink and my leaf die. And we're going to add a little bit of texture to the plain sections, the non-die cut sections on this card front. So I'm using Early Espresso on Crumb Cake, and I'm just going ahead and adding just really subtle texture. It's not really bold. It's not going to really draw too much away from my focal point, but again, just add some interest to the front of my card. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take my DSP. We're going to glue that to the back of our stamped piece. And we're going to just add just a little bead of glue along the edges here. So I'm just taking a little bit of liquid glue. You don't need a lot. Okay. Again, this is all going to get stuck down onto a card base, right? So we're not worrying too much about it being super, super secure. Okay. So we're just going to stick that down. When I flip it over, you can see that we have that beautiful grid pattern showing through. Okay. All right. Now that is going to get glued onto our card base. We have a Crumb Cake card base. This is 4 1/4 by 11. So same dimensions as the last card. Scored in the middle at 5 1/2. And we are going to crisp that. You like that, Flo? Sorry, Louise. It really is a great, those split textures dies. Again, they're one of those hidden gems in this catalog. So there are an awful lot of dies that are not part of a bundle. They're not part of a suite. They're just kind of hidden back in the die section of the catalog. And if you don't look closely enough, it can be really easy to miss them. So it's my job, I feel, to point those out to you and show you what you're missing. All right, so there we go. There's our card base. And then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. So I have my beautiful floral image and one of the leaf images. They're stamped in Early Espresso ink on very vanilla cardstock. Now, the nice thing about Early Espresso is that I can actually color with my blends and it's not going to run, or not going to run too much. It might run a little, but I actually kind of like it that it runs a little because it adds to the vintage vibe. So I'm actually using my Natural Tones 1000. Okay, so our Natural Tones blends are numbered. They don't actually have color names, they're numbers. So this is 1000, which is the lightest of the Natural Tone blends. And similar to what I did when I was coloring the DSP on the last card, I'm really just kind of hitting the shaded areas on the stamped image. Okay, so I'm not coloring the entire petal. I am going to color the curl just because I feel like that adds depth. But we're not coloring in the whole thing. You certainly could, but again, I like that sort of worn, faded vintage look. And I feel like when you color the whole thing, you lose that a little bit. So we're just going to take, this is really quick. There's no shading, nothing special. This is like coloring coloring for, yeah, I think even my 15-year-old son can handle this, and he's not crafty at all. So this is super simple coloring, right? Just kind of filling in where the shading is. And the blends just glide on so easily. You barely have to work at it at all. So we'll just finish filling in these last couple. Okay, so there's our flower. Isn't that pretty? So gorgeous. And then we're going to use our light soft suede to color our leaves. So I played around with different shades of the natural tones, and there are a couple that are quite brown, but I wanted something that actually looked a little bit more gold but had a hint of green. And the soft suede actually has quite a bit of green in it. So I felt like that was the way to go with this one. So again, I'm just filling these in. I'm not being super careful to try and make sure I'm filling in the entire image, okay, the entire leaf each time. I'm kind of being a little bit haphazard, again, on purpose, because I want it to look a little faded, a little worn. I'm not really worrying about being super, super precise with this. So again, just fill these guys in. Okay, and then same thing with this leaf sprig here. So we're going to just fill those in. I think I need a new soft suede blends. This one's getting a little on the dry side. I colored a whole whack of swaps with this a couple of weeks ago, and I think we are nearing end of life with this one. It's kind of getting a little light, a little faded. All right, so there is our last leaf. Okay. And then it's just a matter of, we're going to adhere the branch of leaves sort of to the back of our flower on the other side, just to balance it out. So we'll just take a little bit of seal here and add this kind of right there. Okay. And then we are going to stamp our sentiment. So for this one, I'm using the Best Wishes sentiment. I'm going to stamp it on just a scrap of Very Vanilla in Early Espresso ink. Okay, and then I'm going to punch it using this new tag punch. Now this is from the Lovely in Linen Suite. Can't for the life of me remember the name of it right offhand, but it comes in a bundle with a gorgeous stamp set. So check it out. You'll see me featuring that at some point over the next year. Okay, now I wanted to add just a little hint of texture to my stamped sentiment here. So I'm actually going to stamp off my leaf stamp from when I was stamping this, and I'm going to just add just a little hint. So this is stamped once here, and then there. So it's sort of third generation, okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and glue my label to the back of my flower as well. So we'll add a little bit of glue here. A little seal, I should say. And we're going to stick that guy on right about there. Okay, that's going to go on there, but first we're going to add some more of that gorgeous ribbon. This again is about a 4-inch piece, maybe 3.5, and I'm going to cut both ends this time. Easiest way to cut a notch like this is to just fold the ribbon. Okay, and again we're going to lay a bit of seal down where we want it to go. And the nice thing about having this die cut is that it helps you get your things on straight because it's straight lines. Gotta like it. All right, and then that is going to go on with a couple dimensionals. I love coloring with blends too. I think we're all blends admirers by the sounds of it. If you have not tried Stampin' Blends yet, I strongly recommend it. Just be warned, you're going to want them in all the colors once you try them because they are pretty fantastic. I have some customers that whenever they place an order, they add Stampin' Blends as Stamp Rewards, which is a great way to build your collection because they're free, right? Stamp Rewards are free. So you can actually, with a $200 order, you can get 2 sets of blends. So it's a great way to build your Stampin' Blends connection. All right, so we got our dimensionals on. Oops, get rid of that little scrap of ribbon. We don't need that on there. And then that is just going to sit. So this ribbon just kind of anchors our focal image. We just want to make sure our sentiment is straight. Okay. And then I decided to add some champagne rhinestones. I do not use these nearly often enough. They are fantastic. They have a little bit of a gold or pinkish hue, depending on what you put them with, and are perfect to coordinate with this color palette. So there we go. Done and done. Okay, now on the inside of this one, I just stamped another layer of vanilla, just added a couple more flowers just to pretty up the inside. But that is that. Super simple. All right, number 3, I have a fun fold for you. Hope you're ready for it. Okay, so this is a new fun fold to me. I just learned how to do it. It's super simple. I don't know how I didn't ever think to do this myself, but there are far smarter people than me out there, and I learned from them. So I'm going to teach you. So this one opens like this and then kind of opens out like this. So kind of a cool little fun fold. Really, really simple. You could use any shape to cut your window. It does not have to be a square. It could be a circle. It could be anything that you can get a die cut or a die with. All right. So that is what we're going to make. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's so cold from the air conditioner in my studio right now. My nose is running. It is freezing down here. All right, take a sip of water and away we go. We're going to tough it out. All right, so I'm going to explain. I did this ahead of time, just in the interest of time. So I started with the Smoky Slate card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So your basic card base, okay? Then I glued on yet another piece of that Design a Daydream DSP. Can you tell I love this pattern? I glued it on just around the edges, okay, and stuck it down. So this is a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, okay? So it's almost the size of the card front. Then I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and yes, you can cut a layer of DSP and a layer of cardstock at once. It's not, it's unsanctioned, okay, but it does work, okay, and it will cut through. You can see it's cut through. It's not super crisp on the back, but when you pop it out, you get a nice clean cut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half now along my score line. And you'll see that we've got our card front with our little peek through window. Okay, this little piece, we're not actually going to use the DSP on this project. You can save it for something else, but we are going to use this square. It's going to create our piece that's going to peek through the window. Okay, so on this piece, we are going to glue a piece of, so I should say this is the second largest square from the Stylish Shapes dies, okay? It's the second largest. Don't use the largest. I tried, and it's actually just a little bit too wide. You don't have much along the edge. I got just a little too close to the fold there. So this is second largest from the Stylish Shapes dies, okay? Then I have a piece of that gorgeous Abigail Rose DSP, okay? This is cut to, and I have my grid paper here with measurements underneath. This is cut to 2 1/8 inches square, okay? So it's going to get layered on there just like that. So we'll just add a little bit of glue and layer that one up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there is that. Then we're going to stamp our sentiment. So our sentiment, this is the next size down. Okay, so by cutting a square here to layer in between, I can create a triple layer effect. You know me and layers. I love them. So this is just cut from basic white. Okay, it's the third largest. Okay, so I use the second largest square to cut my window and this piece, and then third largest for this. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in my stamp and my ink. So I'm stamping in Smoky Slate ink, okay, and I'm going to stamp "You Are Positively the Greatest." Now my stamps were not cut centered, so I have to, so if I do this and I make this look centered, it's off this way a little bit, so I need to stamp it a little bit to the left for it to stamp center. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so that is our sentiment. So that is going to get popped up on the DSP layer. And I know you're probably thinking, why is she covering that beautiful DSP? I asked myself the same question, but I really just wanted that subtle bit of texture there that coordinated with this panel. So when you open the card, you're going to see more of the DSP. So don't worry. We're not going, all is not lost. We're still going to see that gorgeous pattern. So we're just going to go ahead and center this on our little diamond here. Okay, and then that's ready to go. Now, for the inside panel, this panel that's going to pop out like this, I have a piece of basic white cardstock. Okay, so this is a 5 1/4 by 8 inches, 5 1/4 by 8. I've scored it in the middle at 4, and then I've scored one section at 2. So this is at 2 and 4. Okay, I'm not sure how well those score lines show up on the camera, but you will see when I fold. So I'm going to fold this in half, just like a regular card, except a little bit smaller than a regular card. Make sure that's nice and straight. Okay, and then I have that second score line here at the 2-inch mark. I'm going to fold that back. And again, I want to make sure that those edges line up nice and neatly. Okay, so now I have my pop-out piece for the inside of the card. Okay, now before we glue this in, we're going to do a little bit of stamping on the bottom edge here. So I'm going to pull in my large flower stamp, not my large, it's the medium one that's in the stamp set, but the largest one on this particular card. And I'm going to stamp in Smoky Slate. We're going to add a couple of leaves, except I need to stamp this off a whole bunch to get rid of my espresso ink that's on here. I didn't bring my chamois over to clean. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we're going to add some leaves here, and we'll add a couple here. And then I'm going to come in, this is a 3-flower stamp, and I'm going to add just a little flower there, and maybe a little hint of a leaf as well here. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now, I'm not going to take the time to color these right now. You certainly can. I'll show you my sample. I color them, but they look so beautiful just in the gray and white as well. It's really not necessary to color them. All right, so also I'm going to add my beautiful DSP. So this panel ends up being 2 inches by 5 1/4. So this piece is cut to 1 7/8 by 5 1/8. So it's going to have a really narrow little border. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to that. Yes, you absolutely could use vellum for this sentiment. That would be lovely, Louise. It's a great idea. I tend not to stamp on vellum very much. I really should do it more. I like soft colors, and I don't like using StazOn vellum. I find that I don't have the patience to wait for classic ink to dry on vellum, which is probably why I don't use it enough. Now, also on the inside of my card, I'm going to stamp my happy birthday sentiment. Get all the stamping done before we stick it down. Right? Stamp first, stick later, just in case we have a little boo-boo. See, and I'm going to get a halo here, so I need to clean that off. And make sure I'm not going to leave fingerprints all over my card. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp our happy birthday. Okay? Now we're ready to glue this inside our card base. So we're going to close this up. I'm going to open up my card base, and what we're going to do is glue this down just centered on that inside panel. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of seal just for strength, because it will have that pop out piece. So we're going to stick this down, and you want to make sure that your piece that's going to pop out is toward the outside edge. Okay, so we're going to stick this down, hopefully relatively centered and straight. Okay, so now you can see how that's going to close. Okay, now to add our sentiment, we are going to just center it inside our little window here. We're going to put some glue on the part that's showing through the window and just stick it down. It's that easy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, add a little liquid glue to that piece of the pop out that is showing through the window, and then we're just going to go ahead and center this inside our window, and when we open it, voila, there's our pop out piece. Isn't that easy? Such a great fold. All right, now the fun part, we get to decorate. So I have all sorts of little bits and bobs here that I have die cut. I have some of those gorgeous florals, the line art ones that I've cut from some white cardstock. I've got some flowers and leaves that I have stamped in Smoky Slate and die cut as well. I've left a couple to color here. So again, similar to what we did on the second card, we're just going to add a little hint of color. So this is light petal pink that I'm using here. Petal pink is the shade of the DSP that's in the background. So I wanted to coordinate with that. Also, this petal pink is getting, I need to order some new blends. It's been a while since I put in an order for blends, and they're all sort of drying out at the same time. I've been doing too much coloring. So again, we're just going to add a quick bit of color to our petals. Again, not being super careful or precise. Okay. more. There we go. And then for the center of my flower, I use some light So Saffron. So I'm just going to add a little hint of yellow there. And then for my leaves, I'm using light soft sea foam. And again, super, super subtle color. And not being super, super careful as I color these. This is really quick and dirty coloring. Okay, you can see I'm not being precise at all. That was the fastest coloring ever. Okay. All right, now we're going to do some floral arranging. I know it's everybody's favorite thing, right? So this piece is actually part of my large flower. Okay, so I actually just stamped this on a scrap. I only wanted the leaves because that's all I'm going to need. So I'm going to actually trim this off a little bit. Okay, and then that is going to get stuck to the bottom of my flower here like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my flower. And we're going to stick that on. Just want to make sure we don't have any little stragglers peeking out. There we go. Okay. Then I'm just going to set this where it's eventually going to go on my card, just so that I can get my placement. Okay. So this branch is going to come out to the right. So we're going to add a little bit of glue here. I'm going to put this where I want it and then just kind of press that down. Same thing on the other side, a little bit of glue. We've got our other sort of branch of leaves here. It's going to go right about there. Looks good. And then these little guys are going to kind of nestle. Oh, I just realized I didn't color the centers of these flowers. We need some yellow in here. We can't have naked flower centers. There we go. And we'll add a little to this one. All right, that's better. Okay, so these guys are just going to kind of nestle in and amongst the leaves. So this one's going to kind of come down towards the bottom here. So we'll just add a little bit of seal here. Okay, well, no, over here. Let's have it peeking out here. And then we're going to add another one kind of peeking out over here. So we'll add a bit of glue here. Honestly, guys, there's no wrong way to do this, right? We're just kind of playing around, doing a little floral arranging. And then this one's going to kind of go out towards the end of the branch on the other side. Just kind of like that. Whoops. Okay, and then we're going to add these little die cut details. These are just so lacy and pretty. I just couldn't resist adding a few. So what are we going to do? We're going to add this one. I only really want the flower, so I'm going to cut off most of this one. And it's going to kind of peek out the bottom here by these two leaves. So we'll just add a little bit of glue, have that guy peeking out there. I'm actually going to use these two leaves that I just cut off. And we'll just clean this up a little bit with our snips. And then that's going to peek out on the other side here. So we'll do this. And then we're going to add these leaves, I think up here. Yeah, I like that. Actually, there's enough glue there that I don't even need to add any more. It's going to stay put. And then these guys are going to go up here. Maybe we'll tuck them in behind like this. No, we're going to tuck it in. Where are we going to put this? We're going to tuck it in behind this one, I think. Just like that. Okay. This little guy, I don't think I actually used. So we'll save that for another project. That's just going to go onto the front of our card. It's going to get popped up. So what I'm going to do is add a few dimensionals. Now, keeping in mind that we don't want to overlap this opening here, right? So rather than putting them on my piece that I'm going to stick down, I'm actually going to put them along the edge of my die cut opening. Okay, and then that will sit on there like that without the risk of gluing anything shut. Okay, so we'll get rid of our backings here. And we're going to pop this on just like that. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? We're going to add a couple of rhinestones for a little bling. No ribbon on this one. Just a little bit of bling. If I'm not using ribbon, then I absolutely have to use bling. There is no other option. I'm sorry. There has to be prettiness. So we'll add 1, 2, and maybe we'll put one up here because the cool thing is when it opens, we're going to see that little bit of bling there. Okay, so there is our finished card with the exception of the coloring on the inside, but super easy, fun folds. I feel like this whole thing needs to move down. I'm going to adjust that. That's going to bug me. So we're just going to move this whole thing down here a little bit. Oh, so much better. Scale is better. There we go. Much better. All right, done. Let me pull in my other projects. And before I let you go, I'm going to show you a couple of other ideas and give you a sneak peek of my upcoming class. So there are 3 projects we made today. Okay. Here are a couple other ideas with this suite. So this is the one that I posted yesterday. So again, uses that black and white floral DSP colored with Stampin' Blends, layered on another pattern of DSP. Really simple, but look at these embellishments. So these are, let me pull them out so I can give you the actual name of them. They are, where are they? Here we go. They are the Sprig Trinkets. Okay, now these are quite large, but they're very lightweight. You'll be amazed at how light they are. They hold on. I just used 2 glue dots to glue each of these down. Okay, so isn't that pretty? Love that little hit of silver there. Here is one of my double tower bridge fold cards that I've taken, and this is, remember that DSP with this funky huge die that cuts out all the images from the DSP? That's what I used to decorate this card. So there is that one. And then this is a fun swap that I received. So, so pretty. And then I'm going to give you a sneak peek of my class. So I just today opened up registration. Now this is a really quick turnaround for this class. It's happening on Thursday, June 30th. So it's right at the end of this month. Okay. And this class is, it's open for registration now until the 7th. Okay. So 1 week for registration for this one. But again, like most of my virtual classes, we're making 5 cards. So we have 1, 2, 3 standard cards, all with a fun vintage vibe. This has some subtle embossing in the background. I'm not sure how well that shows up, but those are our 3 standard cards. And then we have 2 fun folds. This is a WV fold that you may be familiar with. Again, really showcases the gorgeous DSP. And then this one is a vertical easel card with this fun pop out feature. So those are the projects in my new class. You can register now if you are in Canada. I have pinned the registration info to the top of this page. Okay, so if you look at the top of my business page, there's a link there that you can click for all the details, pricing, and all of that. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me again on a Tuesday evening. I'm going to go eat my dinner because I heard my husband come home and it is Takeout Tuesday. So dinner is here and I am going to go and fill my face. Have a great evening and I will see you on Friday at 7 Eastern time for my studio reveal. I know I had to cancel on you last week. I don't know what I was thinking. I totally gapped on the fact that I had to go to my son's show last Friday. But anyway, I am here. I will be here Friday, 7 p.m. to show you around my new studio. Okay? All right, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you Friday. Bye for now.